Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sunday evening, May 7th edition of StudentLoanJustice.org. My name is Alan Collins. We are the oldest, and we are the largest, and the first, and the only, and really the only true grassroots group of significant size fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. We've been around for 18 long years now, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm here to tell you there are two things that must happen in this order with student loans. Number one, the constitutionally enshrined right of bankruptcy has got to be returned to the loans. First, it's got to happen. Number two, all federally owned student loans must, and all, not some, all, every nickel, must be canceled administratively or by executive order or whatever you want to call it. Congress is not required for this. Not one dime should be taken from the Treasury to do this. Not one penny will be added to the national debt when this happens. The taxpayers paid for these loans many years ago, ladies and gentlemen. There's no good reason for them to have to pay twice. The student loan borrowers, that is us, me and you, we have repaid the loans over many years and decades. The loans can be canceled entirely tomorrow, and the taxpayers will be breaking about even. You can't say that about PPP loans. You can't say that about any fiscal stimulus that we've ever seen the government do. I don't think you can say that about any other lending program that the government has administered, like the PPP loan program, for example. Anyways, I hope everybody's doing well out there in the world. Those two things I mentioned, bankruptcy and cancellation, it's got to happen the one before the other, because as long as the constitutionally enshrined leverage of bankruptcy is gone from us, we'll be begging Joe Biden or whoever the next president is forever to do fair things like cancel the loans, and they won't do it. I think Biden proved exactly that point. I shouldn't even have to make it. Joe Biden's loan cancellation, ladies and gentlemen, was a trick, a suspicious gimmick. It was done, I think, in bad faith. I don't think Biden ever actually wanted to cancel loans. And here, lo and behold, we have some challenges to his cancellation, which are completely nonsensical, by the way, but it didn't have to go down like that, ladies and gentlemen. Biden could have just canceled the loans. He could have just directed the secretary to simply cancel the loans and zero out the ledgers, or minus 10,000 or 20,000, whatever lame gimmick he had in mind. They could have just done that. That's a very hard bell to unring, by the way. But he didn't. The way that whole thing was done was geared, I think, to fail, to be weak, to be challenged in the courts, etc. All the stuff we're seeing right now. We're a fiercely nonpartisan group, ladies and gentlemen. We frankly hate both parties at this point. Both parties are indeed against us. You know, it's a kind of a good cop, bad cop thing, but you know, the good cops being the Democrats, they betrayed us. They betrayed us blatantly last session. You know, the DNC has had it in their party platform for many, many years to return bankruptcy protections to student loans. And they flagrantly stabbed us in the eyeball last session. We had a great bill. It would have passed with flying colors, had bipartisan support. It would have had no problems passing. The 11th hour, the Democrats they decided to abandon the legislation. That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt me, but it's going to hurt the Democrats, because I think people are not stupid. And I can only hope that people know about Biden's sordid history on this issue. But as I said, guys, whatever your political stripes are, you're very welcome in this group. Quite frankly, this session, we need to push Republicans harder than ever. You know, the House is controlled by the Republicans now. We're a fiercely nonpartisan group, guys, but we're partisan aware. And the fact is, we've got to push the House of Representatives, which which means Republicans, which means people like Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz and, Marjorie Taylor Greene and all these people. Love them or don't love them, guys. We've got to push them. And we make a very, very strong argument first for returning bankruptcy to the loans, which is frankly just about all that we're focused on. We can be crying and begging for Joe Biden to cancel loans all day long. And unless and until we have the power, the leverage of bankruptcy back on our side, we're going to be barking up that tree forever. And Biden's going to be smoking pot in the treehouse or whatever. That's going to be the way that goes, guys. That was a strange analogy, wasn't it? Where did that come from? I don't know. Anyways, if you have any questions or comments, if I could see you on Facebook and or Twitter, throw them out by all means. A couple of quick announcements. Please, if you would, please donate, guys. It would be very helpful at this time. We are back in Wisconsin now, safe and sound, with the student loan justice van in tow. We have some so we're cash poor right now, guys, and we need like 20 people to donate $10 or more. Ideally, by the end of today, which I don't see happening, but who knows? If the people watching this all donated $10, that would probably get us there. Please help, guys. We can't do this on nothing. We can do it on very little. We cannot do it on nothing. And we're going to have some preventative maintenance on the SLJ van coming up very shortly, like this week, actually. I want to change out the serpentine belt. It's kind of a big deal, and I don't think it was done for this vehicle, so that's going to be quite spendy. Anyways, guys, please, so I can shut up about it. If you appreciate all the work that we're doing, all the work that we've done, all that we've gotten done, all that we're poised to get done, just please help and let me right the camera, shall I? So, also, I want to give a great shout out to Joanna Kearns in Florida, who got a strong letter to the editor published in a Florida newspaper, the Sun Sentinel. So good on you, Joanna. Everybody, no matter where you are, needs to be doing this. We're asking everyone. This is a working fighting group, by the way. If you're new to this group, we're a working fighting group. We're not here for your entertainment. We're not here to make you feel like you're helping us fight. You need to help us fight. And only then can you say that you're doing your part. That's the way this thing goes, guys. And any other group that wants you sitting on your hands and being hypnotized and mesmerized by them, reading Forbes effing magazine or whatever, those are bad groups. There are bad groups in this space, guys. There are corrupted groups in this space who the last thing they want to do is actually solve the student loan problem. They want to get a lot of people in their little club, that's for sure, but they don't want you actually doing anything. They want you sitting on your hands. That's not this group. So if you're lazy, if you don't really want to help us fight, well, go join one of the other nonsense groups, would you please? Because we don't want you here. It's bad karma. And people like Joanna and Michael and Lisa and Ed and too many people to mention. Martha. Oh, I hope. By the way, Martha can't. Well, I'm not gonna. Martha's having a tough time right now, guys. So our thoughts and prayers go out for Martha in New Jersey. Hang in there, Martha. We love you. You are. Martha has ALS, by the way. I can say that. She's confined to a wheelchair, and nonetheless, Martha finds a way to do our daily actions and even run one of the state chapter groups. So you have no excuse, by the way. If Martha can do that, you have no excuse for, at a minimum, doing our daily actions. But, Martha and Joanna and all those people I just mentioned and hundreds or even thousands of others, they can't do your work for you. And the one thing that we've learned over the years, decades, actually, several decades now, is that when you sit there and expect that somebody else is going to pull your weight for you, it literally never happens. And we, as a group, get nowhere. On the other hand, when a significant percentage of the people in this group, and we've got over 1.4 million people now, guys, that's nothing to sneeze at, between our petition, our Facebook group, our email list, etc., If even 10% of our members were doing, say, our daily actions, this problem would be solved in a matter of a few months. Could you imagine if hundreds of thousands of people were retweeting our stuff every day? If hundreds of thousands of people were making phone calls to key members of Congress every day? That would blow up their phone switchboards, guys. It would blow them out of the water, and they would kind of have to do what we I'm not going to say ask. I mean, we are demanding that they return bankruptcy rights to student loans, and we have every reason to demand that. We don't have to put up with this nonsense, guys, by the way, just in case you harbored any illusions. Before the pandemic, 60% of all borrowers were never going to be able to repay their loans. These are unconstitutional, flagrantly unconstitutional loans, by the way. They are based on often fraud, but always omissions, which is tantamount to fraud, right? Nobody's ever told before they sign for the loans that bankruptcy is uniquely gone from these loans. Some people find out, but the colleges never make that explicitly known. The colleges absolutely never, ever, ever inform/warn borrowers or students or their family members that statutes of limitations are gone from these loans. It's kind of an important thing, right? Like if you bought a car online, a brand new car online or whatever, and you go and you pick it up and you drive it off the lot and you crash in a ditch because the car has no brakes, and you go back to the dealership and you're like, hey man, I pushed for the brake pedal. There's no brake pedal. What's up? Does this car have no brakes? And they're like, yeah, man, this car has no brakes. What, did you not read the manual? You should have known that. No. We all know what kind of fraud that is, or what kind of an omission that is. That would not wash in the real world. Well, that's a very, very accurate analog of what's going on with federal student loans, guys. So make no mistake, we don't have to put up with this bullshit, guys. And as I said, before the pandemic, 60% of everybody was not even making payments on their loans. And that's going to go up to 80, 85, 90%, maybe even higher whenever they try and turn these loans back on. But the most important thing I have to tell you guys tonight, as a practical matter that matters to you and your life and your livelihood, the bad guys, the student loan swamp, the collection companies, number one, servicers, maybe number two. The one thing that they want, and sometimes they're the same company, by the way, but the one thing that the bad guys want is to see these loans turned back on and bankruptcy rights remain gone from the loans. That is the golden unicorn of the student loan collection industry. They want nothing more than to see these loans turned on and bankruptcy rights, as they exist for all other loans, remain gone. And that is precisely what we are headed into, guys, whichever way this lame ass Biden cancellation fares in the various Supreme Court cases that are going on right now in deliberation around it. Whichever way these cases go, guys, that is exactly where we're headed. So the last I heard, I think interest would start to accrue starting August 1st. And the repayments will actually begin September 1st, as I understand it. And this is going to be the wet dream of the student loan collection industry, ladies and gentlemen. This is like manna from heaven. This is a license to steal for them. And they are waiting, hoping, watching, and working very hard to make sure that happens. Well, I'm here to tell you guys, we need to work very hard against them. Now, we outnumber the bad guys probably 10,000 to 1 or something like that. It's probably close to that, maybe 1,000 to 1. Anyways, I don't think there's more than about probably 250 super bad guys out there with all the connections and influence and media contacts and all that kind of things. Probably no more than 250, maybe 500. But that's a lot of people when they're working full time and they're being paid extremely well, and they're very smart, and they're very ambitious, and they're very greedy, and they have very nice black books and secret handshakes and stuff that they can use to keep this loan scam going. We need to fight them, guys, because it's our asses that are going to be served up like turkeys at the Thanksgiving dinner to the student loan collection industry if those loans are turned on, and we don't, at a minimum, have the constitutional bankruptcy rights that all other loans enjoy on our side. So, okay, guys, I'm just kind of doing an open session, open forum tonight. If you have any, as I said, if you have any questions, comments, editorial opinions, or otherwise, by all means, throw them out. And if I can see them on either Twitter or Facebook, I will very happily respond to them. Hey, Joanna Kearns, I was just talking about you. I don't know if your ears were burning or not. Let me just... Otherwise, by all means, throw them out. So Joanna says, good evening. I found more newspapers in Florida, and I am trying to schedule a meeting with Alan and myself again, and also trying to get a story in their papers. Good. And if you live in Florida, you should be helping Joanna. We need the Miami Herald, the Orlando Sentinel. We need the Tampa Bay Times, the Tallahassee Democrat. There are so many newspapers in Florida that we need to be hitting hard. You know, the people of Florida owe $120 billion a year in mostly federal student loan debt. $120 billion. You know, interest on that alone is $7 billion a year, leaving the state of Florida and going to the books of the Department of Education, by and large. You think that isn't affecting the economy of Florida? I beg to differ. We're talking 3+ million people, close to 4 million people actually, who are just absolutely screwed. And Ron DeSantis and Mark Rubio and Rick Scott, probably those second two being more important than the first one, they got to step up and fight for their people, ladies and gentlemen. We make a very conservative argument, by the way. We're fighting a big government, red state wrecking, college enriching loan scam. It's wrecking states like Florida. It's wrecking states like Georgia, like North and South Carolina, like Texas is terrible, like Missouri, like Alabama, like you name it. Almost in fact, every state in the South is terrible. Almost every state in the South, student loan debt exceeds their entire state budgets. But it's worse. Georgia is actually the worst by that measure. But, you know, South Carolina, North Carolina, Missouri, Maryland, Alabama, Texas, they are not far behind, guys. Student loan debt exceeds the entire state budget in all of those states. Tennessee also. So we're asking everyone to get a letter to the editor of your local newspaper, whatever state you're in, by the way. It doesn't matter where you are. Get a letter to your editor published, and that will help tremendously. Another thing we're asking everybody to do, and Joanna has mentioned this in her comment, get us into a meeting with both of your senators and your House rep. Everybody's got 3 people they need to be targeting. Both of your senators, that's 2 people, and your one House rep. We are extra anxious to speak with either them, but more realistically, their staff. And in particular, we would like to meet with their judiciary staff. So we've been meeting with staffers for many, many different members of Congress. I think we did like 4 last week. I think like 3 or 4 the week before. We need to be doing way more than that. You know, there are 535 members of Congress, guys. 535. It's a lot of people. We are willing to meet with any and all of them by phone or by Zoom or whatever makes sense. We will gladly do all the talking. But you have to set that up for us because you're a constituent. I'm not. And so it would behoove you to call them, say, yep, I want to speak with your judiciary staffer for a few minutes. I'd like to bring this guy, Alan Collins from Student Loan Justice, onto the call. You can give them my name and my number, area code 202-594-1120, my email address, Alan, ALAN, at studentloanjustice.org. Tell them you will that you want to bring me into it. I can do all the talking if you want me to. You can do all the talking if you want. Like, we met with a key legislator in Tennessee the other day, me and Mary Templeton. Mary did most of the talking for this one, and she was awesome. I mean, she was just perfect. And that's what we need. We need angry conversations with these legislators. We need to make them feel the heat. And if you happen to not like your member of Congress, your House rep, or either of your senators, well, that's all the more reason to get into a meeting with them and let them have it. Make them feel your pain. Because, as I said, guys, this is an unconstitutional loan scam. I know many people in our group, this thing has sucked the better part of their adult life out of them in many ways. We do not have to put up with this bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. And for once and for all, you need to stand up for yourself. You need to fight for yourself. You need to fight for the people in your state. You need to fight for the 43 million other federal student loan borrowers and the other 10 or 15 million private student loan borrowers out there who don't deserve to be conquered and enslaved by this ridiculous debt. These are student loans we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. These fucking things did not even exist barely 30 years ago, 40 years ago. We're a better country than that. In my humble opinion, nobody should ever pay another dime on certainly on their federal student loans. So, okay, guys, it's Sunday night. I think I'm going to leave it there at that. I think I'm still going a little bit longer than I was hoping to tonight, but I hope you're pleased. Thanks again to everybody who kicked in for the van. Please donate, please. And I will see everyone tomorrow. It's going to be ready for this week, guys. Be ready to be doing our daily actions this week. We got to hit this hard, guys. This is where the battle is won or lost. It's sometimes during the quiet times when the most important things happen or don't happen. So we need you in this battle, and you cannot unhear that. We are the pioneers. And no other group that I can identify is actually fighting this fight the way it actually needs to be fought. It's only us, guys. It's only us. So step up, take some responsibility, and jump into the battle. It's fun. It's fun to fight this battle, actually. I think many people on our group would be the first to agree with me. It feels good to fight this fight because all we do is tell the truth. So it feels good, and you need to join us, lest we be conquered and enslaved by debt, in the infamous words of John Adams, who famously said there are two ways to conquer and enslave a country. One is by the sword, the other is by debt. Let's not go there, shall we, guys? This is the camel's nose under the tent. There's a lot riding on this. You cannot unhear this. And the country needs you on this. So I'll be back tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. In the meantime, good luck, Godspeed, and God bless.